And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have one of my good brothers here in the temple, the king of memes, the Jack Frost of the holiest of holy grounds, good brother Akira. How you doing tonight?
Woo! Tomorrow is the day.
Look, no matter who loses, the shit posters win.
Of course. And the salt will continue to flow.
Mm-hmm. And it is January 30th. We are on the penultimate day of the first day of the year of our Lord Cyberpunk 2021. I'm still trying to let it settle in that somehow I've had Spike Spencer on my show twice.
That's a fucking cheers, honestly.
Of course, the funny thing is, both times, despite that role, we spent more time talking about food and other things instead of voice acting.
Honestly, I don't blame y'all for talking about food most of the time.
I figure every other interviewer or AniTuber would talk about his roles, and so I got to do something a little different.
True.
But with that said, let's get right into it because we've got a packed show tonight. So we'll start off with the Kickstarter spotlight, and the first one, in the interest of disclosure, I have talked with its creator Brian St. Clair King a couple times. I reviewed one of his early games years ago in my early days, and I ended up finding out about it because he messaged me about End Times. A RPG about time travelers trying to prevent apocalypses. Brian St. Clair King is somebody I've known about for a while. Vajra Enterprises has been around for quite a while, and even when he does a dark kind of game, there's always some sort of spin. I think Tibet was the most normal game that I've seen him do because that was just a case of, the Tibetan beliefs are real, and it's in the early days of Chinese occupation. I think he had specifically said it in 1970.
Okay.
But for this one, End Times deals with a survivor that can switch consciousness with themselves 10 years into the past or 10 years into the future, in order to prevent a coming apocalypse. The inspirations are Terminator, 12 Monkeys, Umbrella Academy, Butterfly Effect, and Days of Future Past. The apocalypse has allies in the present time, people who want to see it come true. It could also send hunters, people from the apocalypse, to try and kill you. And there are several previous apocalypses that were prevented by other time travels that can still be a danger even though they never came to pass. And even if you prevent the apocalypse, another one might take its place. Which is a good way to make sure that the story doesn't end when you stop the apocalypse. Now, they are going to be using two rule sets. Orc 2.0 organic rule components, a medium crunch simulationist approach, which is going to be the one that I'd probably run if I'm running this, and powered by the apocalypse. Which I don't mind powered by the apocalypse, and some games have used it better than others. I Ironsworn, but it's not but it's a little too narrativistic for me. let's see. Then we have a bit on Vajra. They did a game preview, and something that I like he sent me a excerpt about what sort of apocalypses would be best for what particular areas. And of all places, one of them was the Twin Cities.
Wow.
And making a convincing argument that you could probably make a whole bunker or a whole shelter out of what's left of the Mall of America.
That's a lot of space there.
Mhm. Yep. So let's see. So he was only asking for 250, and he's at 5.6 thousand. So let's see how far he's going with stretch goals. So he's getting more art. Um, he's having a explainer comic from Jake Richmond, creator of the 50/50s explainer comics in Scaffaw's and First Contact team, will be doing a 6-page comic exploring the rules of time travel. And I know some call me Johnny as the whole meme of time travel is bullshit. I'm willing to give a pass to this version of time travel because you are swapping consciousnesses with yourself 10 years in the future or 10 years in the past and vice versa. So
Yeah.
it's not really time travel in the traditional sense.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound traditional.
Hmm. We're not dealing with 1.21 gigawatts.
Good.
Let's see. At 5,000, even more art. At 7,000, Eloy Lasanta will be writing an adventure. I know that guy. He's a pretty cool guy. It's probably the one guy I know who knows more about Prince than me. At 10,000, Draconix will write another adventure. I'm not familiar with Draconix. At 12.5 thousand, they're going to do a character generator. That's a web-based one that'll be free for everyone. At 1,500, art prints. At 20,000, this is the one I really hope they get, a soundtrack. Let's see, at 2,500, a All the Hunters poster. Interesting. At 30,000, a Hunter Babies, like the All the Hunters poster, but unreasonably cute. And at 40,000, a animated trailer. Interesting. And we see a few of the names that they've got involved. Let's see, Brian, Mitch. I don't think Mitch was the guy at Encounter Roleplay who I had interacted with. Jake Richmond, who I'm familiar with his work, especially with Modest Medusa. Eloy Lasanta, who I've already mentioned I know, and Draconix, who I'm not familiar with. But yeah, I like that he set the goal low, and even though it isn't updated yet, it is fairly likely that I'm going to be backing.
Mm.
So next and this one actually got funded. We have a adventure for Mork Borg called Corpse Wake Cove. And I do have to like the title thing that they put in. Fight pirates, get revenge, and steal their fucking treasure. For those who are not enlightened to the glory of Mork Borg, it is basically doing old school low fantasy D&D style approach. It's just heavily influenced by doom metal. We've covered it in the past, and I've had the creators of Mork Borg on the show in the past. That and I didn't submit it, but a while back that they were doing this thing called album crawls, and I should have submitted mine, but I just didn't have the Photoshop skills to pull it off.
You didn't ask Shades to help you out with that?
Um, this one would have required a style that wouldn't really be compatible with how Shades handles it.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the graphical style of Mork Borg, that's kind of what wanted, and that's not, and that wouldn't really have worked here. I'd need somebody who can get who can get really creative with clip art. Um, now what this is a zine quest affair. As far as what's in it, you choose your approach as a party. Will you sneak in disguised, or will you charge in for an all-out slaughter? Will you seek to ruin just one captain and their ship, or will you bring down the rest as well? And I see that we have the different locations in a very nice setup. Um, and a D10 table of the way the pirates ruined your life. Everything from stealing your curtains to murdering your dog.
Oh, oh,
Let's see, 3 custom backgrounds for some people who want other than revenge. The dewy-eyed pirate wannabe, fake it till you make it. The bounty hunter, get your mark, get your pay, and the treasure-crazed lunatic, get rich or try dying. I know that's not what it actually says. I just wanted to flip it over. Um, I could probably write a short adventure with that as the title. Um, the complete text on how to play the adventure, including traps and puzzles, bestiary, and they have as one of the monsters a X parrot. This
oh.
parrot is no more. It has ceased to be. It is expired and gone on to meet its maker. Look, this game. Look, Morkborg and subsequently Corpseway Cove is going to have a dark sense of humor, so may as well go with it. Especially since it's going very punk art. And then we have a bit on Morkborg, and you know, I I the seeing the Frankenshark gives me an idea. But I'm gonna save that for later. I know somebody who's a I know some people who are big fans of sharks, and I feel like haunting their nightmares for the next week.
Oh.
Seriously, look at this thing.
Oh, I see it. Whew. That would definitely give a certain shark duelist a run for his money.
Hmm. Um, I have to wonder if this is what happened in the aftermath of the Rider War to Common Rider Abyss.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Hmm. Let's see, and then we have the Ember and Ash who are making it. Um, as well as they've done some stuff for Trophy Dark in the past. Nice. So it's so they were asking for 500 and they managed to get 11.7 thousand. Damn.
Well, when you really think about it, it's more bored.
Hmm. Um. Next we have Eternia, a expandable card game, and oh, it's updating. Okay. So, Eternia describes itself as a physical, expandable card game inspired by MOBA games and designed around being anti-pay to win.
I like it already.
Um, Times like these, I wish I had a GIF of Sento with the hair boner.
There's one out there somewhere.
Hmm. Yeah, I just can't. I just can't integrate I just can't integrate the GIF at the time. But they're asking for 5,000, and they are at 20.2 thousand with 19 hours to go. So it, and then we have some of the only stretch goals that they haven't gotten is the 22K one, which will be alternate art. Basically a custom skin designed by artists who work on League and Runeterra. With the copy, and of course they had to put the disclaimer that that both of them are copyright Riot Games and do not sponsor or endorse us. Probably don't like the fact that they're taking the piss out of them. Then again, we've been taking the piss out of them for months. So, it is a expandable card game, XCG, for 2 players inspired by MOBAs. Players build decks of champions and their Eternals, which are varying representations of those champions, each with their own playstyle and game mechanics, battling across all of Eternia, the center of time, space, and dimensions. And the deck is supplemented with snares to trap opponents, charms, spells to turn the tide, and items to provide resources. Let's see, why an expandable? They say, over the last 5 to 10 years, card games have been changing at a rapid pace. We've seen digital games, cryptocurrency games, free-to-play games, and traditional card games all designed in ways focus more on how to monetize instead of how to make a game that is enjoyable, affordable, and truly fun. Then came the whole loot box culture. Free-to-play games, and even some pay-to-play games, all have some sort of gambling with random packs and random chests to open. You never know what you're going to get. The system preys on people's need to gamble and puts players in a crab-in-the-bucket mentality where they chase after the best cards with their wallets. We're tired of that. Games should not be about who has the bigger wallet. Facts. I know I'm stealing your line there, but I don't care.
Go right ahead.
So, we want to see who is the king of card games. Everyone will have reasonable access to the card pools, and foil shiny cards are completely optional. Our goal is to create a truly competitive landscape, reward players for their accomplishments, and bring back meaning to victory, as well as a reason to try harder in defeat. So, the starter kit is going to retail for $30, $25 on Kickstarter. Champion packs will retail for $25 or $20 on Kickstarter, and standard mats retail for $25. They do have a print and play version, and then we get shipping. Starter kit has 74 cards, 3 champions, 12 Eternals, 8 supplemental cards as charms, snares, and items, 10 Ethereum stones, 10 total cards, and 1 coin of eternity. Then we have what looks like the mat. So I think I'm starting to see where the MOBA inspiration is coming from with this setup, especially with these main zones. That seems to, I can easily see that being an equivalent of lanes. See, then we have the starter kit champions: Hanako, an assassin; Strife, a fighter; and Rain, a hexualist. Each with their own bit of lore. Let's see, and what we have the cards looking like. Interesting setup. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Cardfight Vanguard, except with the things that in Cardfight Vanguard that don't annoy me.
Never played it. Don't care for it.
And why should you back? And we have add-ons, including a T-shirt. Wonder if that T-shirt comes in giant size.
It's coming like a 5X or something.
Let's see. And let's see. One of the packs is Yasuke. Then we have Yurang. It's interesting that they brought in Yasuke, who did exist in real life.
Oh yeah.
So if Eternia is on it gets on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, that's an in for me.
Here's hoping.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff on TTS. Just saying. So next, And this one comes from one of our brothers, and he's admitted that he's going to be shutting down the Indiegogo and moving it over to Kickstarter. But Eyes of the Forest is a comic that he's working on. This is coming to us from our buddy Ash of Creativity, aka James Streisand,
Right.
and it is a pulp fantasy comic about duty, betrayal, and telling people to get off your lawn. And he's mentioned that even though he's going fantasy, he wanted to do a bit more of a World War One level of technology when it came to fantasy, which I'm perfectly fine with because um, I don't want to see another Tolkien wannabe. We've got other options, people.
Like that. Not another full on. What was it? What did I have in mind? I think Attack on Titan tried to do World War One type of shit, and then it failed.
Um, yeah, kind of. And Doku, get your ass in here.
Get in here, son of a bitch!
But like there, obviously we've got scouts and gas masks and similar matters, but we also have a traditional amount when it comes to magic. Um, and he's admitted that this is going to be a first for him because even though James is no stranger to crowdfunding, this is his first time crowdfunding something that isn't a RPG book. And most of the stuff that he's done crowdfunding for, it's largely digital. Digital first. But the idea of doing it physical is something that's definitely going to be a leap for him. Though he did admit that he's going to need to he might need to do a re-eval. At the very least, crowdfunding on Indiegogo has flexible goals, but I think what's really needed is to get some of the bigger Comicsgate eyes on this thing.
Right.
I've done what I can, but unfortunately, I'm only one man. So next, and I will note that I will be having this guy back on the show sometime next month, and that is Warpland, which is coming to us from Gabriel Curioga, a Brazilian dev who I've had on the show in the past. So he's asking for 1,400 for Warpland. He's at 11.1 thousand currently, with 37 days to go in a row. And he describes it as a primeval science fantasy RPG inspired in heavy metal comics and psychedelia. And it definitely fits. See, the sky has been turned into a mind-bending kaleidoscope, occasionally delivering mutagenic maelstroms that change forever the appearance of both the landscape and its people. Abysses have punctured reality, corrupting it all with their infectious energy while seducing with power those insane enough to listen. Now humanity exists in a self-imposed Iron Age where academia and scientific progress has been forbidden under penalty of death. Only those few brave enough to challenge anathema and the will of the Citadel dare to understand the past, seeking the discovery of ancient artifacts still hidden under crumbling ruins and forsaken temple. So then we have a character sheet example. Looks pretty. It's very similar to his last work, although I'd imagine that there's going to be a few tweaks since this isn't going with a science fiction dystopia. He is still doing a 2d6 system. Let's see. But I do like the page size that he's going with. This 8.5 by 8.5 almost feels like a coffee table book. so as far as stretch goals, so we're getting a world map. We're getting 3 adventures: the tribe, the society, and the cult. The Aether, a sky and weather generator. And the 1200 one says must not be revealed. Wait, let me see where we're at right now. Oh, if he gets 900 more, we'll see what that must not be revealed is.
He's got time. He'll get.
Yeah, and he's noted that he's going to be posting daily updates on the project, like he did with his last work, Nerosity.
Cool.
So, and I know it says location Miami. It's not actually the case here.
Where is he really at?
He's further south. That's all I can say publicly.
Oh.
So next, and this one I did back, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get an interview with the devs. Savage Worlds or rather, Pathfinder is getting a Savage Worlds adaptation, and we've talked about this a couple times. Now the proof is in the pudding. And when I found out about this, I had joked, "Hey, people will actually have to care about Pathfinder's setting now instead of just using it as a D&D XP." Because, truth be told, Pathfinder's world of Golarion, the world that they started out with Rise of the Rune Lords, actually does have some interesting things to it. It's just that because of the fact that people just used it as a vessel for their D&D games, a lot of the setting kind of got lost in the shuffle. But they're putting it out for Savage Worlds, which I'm perfectly fine with. Savage Worlds is a very fast and flexible system, and it looks like they're going to be doing both a core package and a package specifically for the campaign that made them famous, Rise of the Rune Lords. Now, we've talked about Savage Worlds games in the past, especially with stuff like Deadlands and Flash Gordon. And now they're bringing its talents to Golarion, the setting for Pathfinder. Although what's interesting in what they're doing, you don't need Savage Worlds Adventure Edition for this. The entire core rule system is going to be in the core book for this Pathfinder Savage Worlds project. And even more interesting is the fact that Rise of the Rune Lords is not going to be just a few pages. No, they're going all in with giving it a total of 6 books. So it's clear they're not fucking around, and because of the fact that somebody other than Paizo is doing it, namely the fact that that Pinnacle themselves is handling the matter, I think they've got a much better chance.
Glad you finally joined us, Delku.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I fucking suck at Minecraft. I'm ashamed.
I'm not.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. So what I miss?
We are currently on the Kickstarter spotlight regarding Pathfinder for Savage Worlds.
Roger, roger.
And as you probably saw, I've done a few modifications to the docket to make it a little bit easier to navigate.
Yeah, I see you posted that.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the interest of disclosure, I will note that I did back on the digital $50 level. So all the stuff for the core book and for Rise of the Rune Lords I will be getting. Normally I don't back at that kind of level, but I felt it apropos in this case. What I'm really going to be interested in is how they're going to handle the classes. I do like the fact that they have these little archetype cards, although art is a placeholder, as well as status cards. So they're doing a... But what I'm really curious is how they're going to do this for virtual tabletop. And as far as what some of the big rule changes, it says first, Savage Pathfinder has class edges that give you one or more special abilities that balance out to the traditional edge cost. Each one is unique and reinforces the class-based tropes of Pathfinder. And of course, these serve as prerequisites for higher rank edges that reflect Pathfinder's higher level abilities. They're also using their power system. Certain arcane backgrounds have features that reflect the nuances of Pathfinder magic. For instance, sorcerers and wizards have armor limitations that inflict penalties on their arcane skills if they wear inhibiting armor, and the rules for resting and recovering power points have been tweaked to reflect the world of Golarion. We've also added new powers and advanced power mods, modeled but adjusted from the exalted powers created for rifts for Savage Worlds. So it definitely seems like it's not exactly Pathfinder with a Savage Worlds coat of paint. They are tweaking it a bit, which, given that, it makes sense that that this is as standalone as they can make it. Especially given the size. So and they're asking for 8,000, which, given all that's in that doesn't surprise me. And they are at 280.3 thousand with 16 days to go.
I don't think they'll ever make it.
Fuck off.
300 at least.
So next we have The Watch, which is asking for 1,500. They're at 4,000 and change. And let's see. It goes a TRPG in which the players become paranormal investigators and cryptid hunters. The Watch being an acronym for the Worldwide Anomaly Trackers and Cryptid Hunters. So, make your X-Files jokes. I know you got them.
I
I
got
don't know. They wiped my memory.
God damn it, Doku. So let's see. The Watch are dealing with investigators and cryptid hunters seeking evidence to prove or debunk sightings and encounters that have been reported to the agency. Having easy-to-learn mechanics and character creation, allowing new players to quickly get into the game while still providing the flexibility to adjust to different styles. So it is a story and character-focused system. I am interested in how they'd handle investigations. Are they going to be taking a more gumshoe route, or are they going to be taking a more dice rolly route? Especially since the page count is going to be about 80. Rick, no, this is not a call for the mystery gang.
No, thank you.
Let's see. So it looks like they're also having a bit of a progress clock system when it comes to an expanding scenario. And using multiple types of dice, D4, D6, D8, D10, and D12. Oh, they're not this is gonna piss off the D20 fans. Good. Let's see. Then we have contest trackers. This is definitely a narrativist style game, and even though I can't get a bigger version of the image, I do like that we have this dossier style approach with the character sheet. It's gonna be hell. That's gonna be hell for a color printer, though. Then we have a collector's dice bag, which is that a dice bag or is that a house flag? Let me see what the minimum amount. So minimum is 10. It's not too bad. Let me see. So next, and this is the case. This is a case where again, I've talked with the dev for this, and I will be talking with the dev for this again later next month. That is Neon Blood, a OSR DIY compatible cyberpunk RPG. Now, Scott W. or Scott Welker is somebody I've been familiar with in the past through his work OS plus R, or Obelette, Sorcery, and Reavers. And he calls his work dirty OSR because he is not interested in just doing pure OSR like some other people do. He's not interested in retro clones, he's interested more in neo clones. But Neon Blood is asking for 1,300 and is currently at 1.8 thousand. With 19 days to go. I think he'll probably get 2,500 by the time it's done.
Yeah, 2,500 seems.
Mm-hmm. So, it says the goal of the game is to take the OSR-based RPG system and roughen up the edges. Throw in some chrome, pump it full of high-cap neon, and light it on fire. He had me at light it on fire. The rules start with the D20, but we make a firefight feel like a frenetic two-way range where your decisions and training will be a matter of life and death. Interesting. And hacking will never be boring or on the side gig. It easily occurs in real time alongside a firefight without disruption to either team. That's a bold strategy. Let's see how it pays off, because hacking is one of those things nobody's really been able to get right.
Was there ever someone getting close to getting it right?
Not really. A lot of times it's a case of simplifying it so it doesn't interfere with everything else going on. Seems to be the best approach for a lot of people. The way to do it wrong, of course, is Shadowrun 3rd Edition, where it was its own initiative setup.
See,
How's it going?
It is going. Welcome to the party, JT.
Yep, I'm back.
You can check the docket link up at the top so you can keep up with us. We are currently on Neon Blood.
Alright, let me go ahead and see what this docket's all about.
Yeah, the docket is where I post all the relevant material.
Alright.
Let's see. Even hackers aren't safe. Play hacking games, win deadly prizes. As awesome as this sounds. Oh, go ahead. What was that?
Oh, nothing. I'm just laughing. Docket win crazy prizes.
Mm-hmm. Combat is full of player-facing choices to keep your character alive and gunning, but everything comes at a cost in Neon Blood. Interesting. So you start with the choice of either being a human or a spliced, and then 3 methods of attribute generation depending on what power level you are looking to play. A push and pull method of quickly determining the raw potential. Interesting. Then we have the mentor system.
Sounds like DBZ. I'm sorry.
Sit down. That's two for bringing up DBZ when we're talking about cyberpunk.
Okay.
And we have the mentor system, to determine when and how your character's life was formed by these influences. They are not always positive. Sounds like he's trying to do a life path system. Let's see, and then we have skills, which are going to be a departure from standard OSR, namely the fact that we have skills, but not overwhelming, covering the basics. And then we have the roles. So let's see what we have for roles. Agent, personal defense, small team engagements. Anarch, toughs who have grown up in some harsh conditions. Medic, self-explanatory. Hacker, also self-explanatory. Jockey, seems to be his case of riggers.
Like a decker or something like that?
No.
No.
No, Deckers would be covered by hacking.
Okay.
And Krieg, which seems to be basically his version of the Solo from Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Then we have Cyberware, also known as Chrome.
Chrome Tech or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Which comes in a wide variety of alterations to the human, from data storage to kicking over walls to getting close to a mortal. Then we have hacking, called VX, which comes in two varieties. Vice attempting to
virtual exploitation.
Mm-hmm. When a hacker goes at a mesh within the neural net, they do so in a cat-and-mouse game of discovery, applications, and control. When they go at it against a personal access net, a PAN, that's when things get interesting, can change the face of a firefight. Off-site, co-located, full immersion, the choice will matter not only to your skills as a hacker, but also to the team under fire. There's a few techniques and methods to use as you rip through the net, but again, some things are better left to discovery. Then we have drones. For the tech geeks, there's an entire section of fast and easy to use rules on making drones. Monocopter with a flechette gun? Check. Stationary indirect fire turret? Check. Tricopter with an ISR suite to extend the combat and hacking capabilities of the team? That's insultingly basic. We cover everything from frame to payload to control module to PAN. Oh yeah, your toy can be taken away from you. You've been warned.
So you can own your own drone that has a payload.
Sounds like, and I'm probably gonna be looking deeper into it as time goes on. Then we have the world of 2035, a vision, providing the resources and assets to produce a dystopia you and the table might enjoy, and a micro-campaign along with it. And it all starts with a bathroom E-key. Seriously, it does. Let's see. They're also going to be covering chases, an interactive PDF, and I do like what he put in here. Yes, we'll do a plain vanilla one for printing. 2021, people. And what we are not saying. We are not a retro clone. We use retro clone foundations and shift a few things to make more sense and more fun, but 99% of our DNA is the original Seed game. If you've backed and played our first game, Obolette, Sorcery, and Reavers, OS+R, I didn't back it, but I did buy it, you are familiar with how we manipulate the rules and make them exciting in new ways. Same here. We promise you our gunfights will be the most fun version of a two-way range in an RPG you've played, and the easiest, and allows hacking to occur concurrently with no lull in action at either end of the spectrum. They're shooting for September as a safe date. And let me see the stretch goals. So they're at 1,000 and change, so let's see if they've unlocked anything. Not yet. I do hope that they get at least to 2K, so I can mess around with the adventure on the fly thing. But they've got 19 days. I think they'll get a few stretch goals in.
Yeah. Wonder how people will develop modules for that thing.
Yep. So next we have Primal The Awakening, a boss battler board game that they were asking for. I have to convert this to euros. They're asking for 150,000 euros. They are currently at 1.6 million euro, with 70 hours to go.
That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the game about? Just a boss battle game? What's the system?
Yeah, it's doing a boss. I guess the best way for me to describe it is their spin on a Monster Hunter style approach.
Okay.
What with a giant monster that you're hunting and several hunters that you're dealing with. So we have a great sword user, a great bow user, a hammer user, and a sword and shield user. I do love their art, as well as the monsters, each with their own cards for behavior, stances, and objectives. And I know these images are just mock-ups, but this is some good quality stuff.
So it's just the concept right now.
Mm-hmm. But I can see why they needed the amount that they did. It is kind of funny that they're doing this kind of thing, since sometime later this year, Monster Hunter World is getting its own board game.
Yeah. I think they're trying to get into the craze of it.
I get the feeling this was something they had in the works and didn't know that that Monster Hunter World would be following suit as well.
Well, that would be interesting.
Let's see. They're also apparently doing a crafting system with the board game. And a lot of cards.
A lot of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Even expansion plans.
Yeah, that tends to happen a bit. And Mr. Yes, no, I have not seen the Monster Hunter movie, and I don't exactly have optimism for it.
Yeah, I heard what happened in China.
I don't care what happens over there. I just don't have optimism for it simply because of who I'm dealing with. But looks like for the expansion they have a couple more characters they're putting in, a dual blade and a heavy gunner.
That's a big surprise there.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, and one expansion a couple expansions for monsters, each with their own sets up with crafting. But yeah, this might be a little bit. This is going to be a little bit pricey, but if there's a paid version on Tabletopia, I might try that. I might try that with everybody.
Okay.
So next, this one I felt almost compelled at gunpoint to back, and I am not ashamed to admit that fact. Gods of Metal, Ragnarok. A heavy metal inspired RPG of epic proportions, and as an aside, I did send the link over to Warhorse. I don't know if he's going to do anything with it, but at least he knows about it.
Oh boy.
This looks interesting.
Heavy metal inspired.
Yep.
As in the magazine.
No, I think this is going for the music.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The Gods of Metal have chosen...
Heavy metal does have some really good, decent fantasy stuff.
Yeah. The Gods of Metal have chosen you to harness your repressed and sheltered spirit and risk it all to become a demigod of unimaginable power, an avatar of metal. Battle with the most unhinged and bizarre foes, beasts, monsters, and total posers imaginable within a face-melting world of epic heavy metal fantasy.
If only Jack Black could come in.
Let's see.
I'm sorry.
They are having some people help out with music. Let's see. So...
It better not be Jack Black.
Oh, obviously not. You really think he's gonna give a toss about tabletop gaming? Please.
You never know.
And anyway, so it goes, well, apparently they want to do the opposite end of metal-inspired gameplay to Mork Borg, saying, while some games focus more on the blood and pus of metal-inspired gameplay, and the some games links directly to Mork Borg's website, Gods of Metal Ragnarok allows you to do things like pledge your allegiance to a patron metal god, form bands of adventurers made up of player positions, i.e. classes, like brutalizers, blue guards, howlers, shredders, cordmasters, and amp lords. Fight back against the enemies of Ragnarok, such as the electric liches of the Howling Wastes, pit demons of Borgarul, the warlords of Aux, the Protauger, those fucking Bose imps, and the Ragnosaurus Rexes.
Oh god.
God.
Ragnosaurus. Why do I have a feeling this is a ripoff of a game that I played many years ago?
Let's see. So it's going hardcover, 250 pages. We murder trees responsibly. The deluxe core version, which has the Metal God glyphs, Die Hard dice. These dice are literally made of metal and can probably kill a drummer if you throw one at it. So we hear. Do not throw these at drummers. You know, without good reason. Throw them on your table and damage the hell out of it like a fucking rock star. Then dice tracing. And if you care about your precious table, here you are, you pathetic sack of shit. And no, it isn't metal, it's neoprene. It looks like leather, the most metal of all non-metal things something can be made of and still be metal. No, we will not explain ourselves. Figure your own shit out like a damn adult.
Oh god.
That is the best fucking pitch I've heard in a while.
Let's see. Votive candles. Can't play guitar to properly show tribute with the picks? Then do it with bleeping fire. Then we have glyph pins. As they say, put a pin in it. And the Metal God statues. What scale are they, you ask? They are the scale of metal gods. Let's see. And an album that doubles as a GM screen. So what is in this album? A bunch of nobodies that no one has ever heard of. Oh, ye of little faith, you absolute horse's ass. How about Carla Harvey and Charlie Banite? Let's see, we also have Motorhead, Armored Saint, Fozzy, Icon for Hire, Silver Tomb, Gygax, Bloody Wood.
Why do I have a feeling that this was done inspired by another game that I seen years ago, a decade ago?
That's probably you trying to rationalize it, and yeah. Fozzy.
Yeah, because they had Motorhead in one video game, and it starred Jack Black, and I forgot the name of that game.
Oh, you're thinking of Brutal Legend, and there's definitely some crossover, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is. It's just it kind of reminds me somewhat of it. Just kind of like, except for the gods thing, but I think it's kind of interesting.
Yep.
Concept. It would be a nice idea.
But then we have the whole thing. And who the metal gods are. So we have Abnu Baba, Diomedius, Calamkity, Fenrar, Karatari, Shrika, and through that forming a band of question.
Forming a band.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a band of men that knows how to rock.
Then we have the avatar sheet. It's interesting that they're going with D4s, and I'm guessing they went with those because it's the closest thing to a pick. But
yeah,
after doing my own digging on this one, I did send a line to Hunter's books, and Mr. Yes, you are getting way too picky on this. This isn't a video game. This is a tabletop game. If you want Kiss, Dio, and Poison, etc., Just go play that your damn self. But yeah, I felt like I was pushed into backing this. Like, how could I not? So next we have Human Punishment: The Beginning. It's another board game instance. This time they're asking for 25,000, and they are currently at 205,500. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I can definitely see there's definitely a cyberpunk theme with it, but I'd say it's going a little bit more crazy. And apparently, it's being compared to the Battlestar Galactica board game, which that's not bad company to be in. So I like that they have a full-on how to play video. That's certainly nice. Each player has a ghost character with their own skill tree and inventory. You deliver data chips from the sectors to the network. There are 2 routines, each with its own benefits and drawbacks. Fight spawning enemies on your way. Keep the city's values in a positive range. Deal with skill checks. You don't know which factions are at the tables. Each has its own victory conditions. And we have what's in the board. So we've got the board itself. Only thing I have to say about the board design is I feel it's a little crowded. I don't know. Maybe I'd be a little more forgiving once I actually play it.
It could work.
Mm-hmm. But hey, it's nice to see more cyberpunk games coming around.
Yeah, because I guess because everybody is interested in the cyberpunk genre, it's kind of interesting to see that people want to play, create more cyberpunk games out of it, because there's a lot of things going on right now. Like I see that people want to follow that trend. But I just hope that they can find some good ideas with their games and everything.
Mm-hmm. Next we have Vomitorium, and I swear I've heard this name from one of Icarus Lives' videos. So he's asking for 6,000. He's currently at 12,100, and he is trying to do a FPS Metroidvania that's inspired by the paintings of Zdzisław Bensinski. And I probably mispronounced that. Damn Polish. He did put out a demo, and he's trying to go for an arid hellscape inspired by Metroid Prime and Dark Souls, but doing an FPS Metroidvania. And I get the feeling he used GZ Doom for this.
You had me at Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
First-person perspective.
Yeah. Now let me. I know that I've heard the name Zdzisław. Oh yeah, it's this guy. This is what, for the record, I'm putting this in the council for you guys. This is what I ended up getting when it came to Zdzisław's I put his name up in Google image search so you can see what.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought that name sounded familiar. And yeah, looking at the gameplay of it, he's definitely using the Doom and not the Doom engine, but rather GZ Doom, which is a source port of Doom. It's what most people who are doing mods nowadays are going to be using. They're going to be using either that or Vavoom, but GZ Doom seems to be the more reliable one. And we have some other affairs. And yeah, it definitely has that organic hellscape that you would see with his work. I don't know. This might be good to play on Halloween. And looks like they are having somebody handle just the music, that being Primeval. Smart move. See, and then they're doing a physical strategy guide. Nice. So yeah, I like where this is going. So next, we've got somebody from Aaron's neck of the woods.
Ooh, all the way in Chicago, huh?
Well, he's not in Chicago. He's not in Chicago. He's in the northern end of Illinois, but close enough.
Yeah.
So somebody's doing a SCP TRPG, and to be honest, I'm surprised it took this long for somebody to do it. I'm pretty sure somebody else might have, but but it was a case of being too narrativist. And yeah, there was the Containment Breach video game, but still, you'd think that more people would have taken a crack at it.
Right.
So obviously, the whole gimmick with this is taking the role of Foundation staff to secure, contain, and protect anomalous objects and beings. Now, I'm going to skip over what is SCP because I think we all know that. And apparently this has been a passion project of his for several years. He wanted to make a easy to understand rule set first and foremost. It's not rules light, nor is it overly complex. He wants to hit a Goldilocks zone. Oh, he says that too, huh? Also using a drama card system that allows players to temporarily take control over a situation in a way that directors won't expect. It's a very interesting approach. It's one of those things I'd like to see utilized in virtual tabletop, but I haven't figured out how. Let's see, then we have stretch goals. So small print run, initial publishing assets, and additional expanded artwork. Any further funding is just going to larger print runs. And in the interest of disclosure, I will note that 1, I backed, and 2, I will be having him on the show. In fact, when I contacted him, he had said YouTube needs more people like you.
Well, he's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the problem is a lot of people have a hard time promoting their works, and the thing is, it's like they don't know where to go to ask to promote it.
I don't think it's an issue of people having a hard time promoting their works as much as it is as much as the fact that so often people want to just stick to the easy shit.
Yeah, that's true. Where it's safer.
Mm-hmm. Now, our penultimate Kickstarter is coming to us from Tulsa, and that is Savage Company: Machines of War, which is a campaign setting for D&D and Pathfinder that goes for Diesel Punk Mecha. I'd say if I were to use a video, I'd say it's got more in common with Ring of Red and Dust than anything else. Now,
That's fair.
Savage Company has been a campaign setting they've done for a while, and Machines of War is expanding on what they have. Focusing on the war machines. Although the war machines in this case, I do like that we have a bit of a hex model, meaning maybe I can send this over to Black Pants Legion. He'd probably get a kick out of this.
I like his content.
Although looking at the pilot and the war machine itself, somebody was playing Titanfall. Let's see, it also introduces 4 new factions: the Brass Guild, the Invictus Legion, founded from an ancient order of knights, the Calaviel, not sure how that's pronounced, a pair of young elves
Cavaliers.
forced into a legitimate business, and the Malleus Protectorate. Let's see, and then what's in the book. So I take it back. They are doing it is adaptable for D&D and Pathfinder, but it can also be used as a standalone war game.
Okay, so it can be a conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
They're partnering with Darkfire Designs to do the miniature designs for 3D printing.
yeah, because I seen people do like 5th edition to Pathfinder conversions for these settings.
Let's see, and then we have the Art of Savage Company, as well as the pilot, and seeing the iconic Hobgoblin pilot. When I have them on, I'm gonna have to ask them about Titanfall, and I'm pretty sure James will be keeping an eye on that conversation as well, since I frequently see him playing Titanfall 2 quite a bit. But these are definitely stompy kind of mechs.
Yeah.
Which
I used to remember another game called French, which they rebranded to something else.
Yep. Looks like most of the stretch goals that they have are just new models. So they're asking for 5,500. They're at 7.6 thousand with 47 days to go. Jeez, they gave themselves quite a window.
Huh.
And lastly, our second comic book entry from Kenneth Rokelfort, Groken, presented by Mitographia.
Mitographia.
A graphic novel of 42 pages in the genre of sci-fi fantasy. Setting place in an odyssey set in a rotten era where myths are forgotten and science corrupted the hopes of a good tomorrow. A singular theory makes the regiments shudder, and the system now fears that the secret will be revealed and that the right to the crown will be claimed by the myth, a creature that bears the name of Groken, born as a beast and forged as a man.
Huh.
I can definitely say the art style that I get out of this feels very 90s indie.
I can see your point there. Be interesting to see how this art style can work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to remember, oh man, some '90s comics were pretty good.
No, in a weird way, I don't I don't know why, but in this weird way, it kind of reminds me of the Max. I don't know why.
The Mask.
Max, Maxx, clean
I know
thine
what you're
ears.
talking. I remember that comic book, man. Come on.
But now, as far as tabletop news, apparently for some reason, Drive-Thru RPG is no longer going to be doing saddle stitch printing, because the print-on-demand company that they've been using, Lightning Source, is discontinuing it.
That sucks.
Now, this is a bookbinding process that's used on slender books, 70 pages and less. Folded pages are gathered together in a bundle and then bound with staples through the fold.
Yeah, I used to remember the staple ones. They don't always come out good.
Yep.
They don't even last that long.
I found out about this because of the fact that a lot of publishers on Drive-Thru RPG are not happy about this surprise move, since it means that they have to do a bunch of adjusting to see whether or not they qualify for perfect bound. Since perfect binding, the minimum amounts that can be done is 18 pages, and some projects are less than that.
Yeah. Printing presses are not that cheap.
Mm-hmm.
What else, Mildra?
So next, now the Kickstarter for this is coming soon, but this was a recent announcement. Lex Arcana is getting another expansion, another proper expansion through Kickstarter. 2 of them actually. No, take that back. 3 of them. One of them is it's what we have is Dacia and Thracia and Italia as a single campaign. The first big expansion to Lex Arcana that I covered in my review of it was Egyptus. Dacia and Thracia, which covered ancient Egypt, obviously. Dacia and Thracia are going to be covering the far off frontier when it comes to the Roman Empire, as well as potentially a bit of Greece. And all the things that could probably kill you. And Italia is going to be covering, well, Italia. The oldest and most sacred parts of the empire. And I do have notification on for when the Kickstarter launches.
Okay.
So, next up, Free League, because apparently they haven't done enough awesome things so far, is putting out a starter set for Symbaurum, which is the dark fantasy RPG that I covered a while back, when the game had briefly gone free to download.
So it's free.
It was a temporary measure. I don't think it's free to download right now.
Okay.
But this is going to be a starter set box called Treasure Hunts and Dakovkar. Start with a rule book that includes the rule set, a adventure compendium, including 2 adventure locations, the Bright Davkar dice set with all the appropriate dice needed, a double-sided map with one side depicting the setting at large and the other the town of Thistlehold, a second map showing 2 pre-made adventure landscapes main locations meant to be used at the gaming table, and 6 character sheets for pre-gen. So all that you'd expect from a starter box set. Now, I'm not going to get a whole lot of use out of this personally, but I know some people might. Now, one thing that was a bit of a surprise is that Alderac is bringing back the Warlord card game. I remember playing this in the early 2000s, and because of the fact that it uses a lot of mechanics from the D20 system, it was billed as the game you already know how to play. So what they're doing is a 20th century anniversary pack for Warlord called Saga of the Storm. And in the article they had posted, why is AEG producing a set that hasn't been published in nearly 15 years and have no plans to bring it back? 4 reasons. 1, we still love the game. 2, the fans, who have become our friends over the decades, are still connected, playing and trading cards. 3, we love the idea of exploring the history of some of our favorite characters. 4, 20 years is an amazing milestone for any game product.
Let's see. So they really do care.
Alderac I may have focused less on Alderac since they dropped out of the RPG business, but they do know how to put quality out.
Okay.
Now, we also have a bit of a thing coming from Privateer Press. Apparently, they are working on a new format for War Machine, and if the chance comes, I might send this particular bit of info over to Shin Tiger Curl to see what he has to say about it. This particular approach that they're calling is Brawl Machine. It's a format for War Machine that was created largely by the people at Line of Sight. Meant to be a format that's easy to introduce a new player to War Machine, as well as promote a smaller scale kind of game. Now, let's see. Brawl Machine, at its core, is playing War Machine with a set of special steamroller-style scenarios made for smaller size games. The format is played at 25 points, so you can play a whole game in an hour or less. I do think more war games need to at least address the idea of using their systems for smaller scale engagements, so I don't have to bring whole armies around wherever I go. But I'll keep a close eye on this, and I might need to get some second opinions on it, since while I like the Iron Kingdom setting and I've played the RPG plenty of times, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on the war game itself. That's got more moving parts. Now next, and I did end up saving this, but Sword and Source created a generator called Here Be Taverns for people who need to randomly generate a tavern for their games.
That'd be interesting.
So let's take a look at that and see what kind of... Let's roll a tavern and see what we get. So we've got a few examples. The Watch and Riser, and we have the map of the place. Menu, milk, there is parsley on top. Horn of Heimdall, a drinking horn the size of a horse's leg. If you finish it, you get your name carved on the wall of heroes. And Crow's Dinner, a mix of nuts, sweets, and hard bread. Then characters. Alex Grail, they bite their nails. Who is an elf gravedigger. Eden Brown, a half-elf refugee. And Emily Monroe, a dwarf barber. Desmond Marad's Inn. All right, I see. So it's not. I see what they've got with this tavern generator. It's not just generating the map of the tavern, but also generating what you might get, what you might actually buy at the place. I like it. So this is a bit. Do you remember a while back when I talked about the whole lawsuit between Weiss and Hickman and Wizard of the Coast getting dropped? Well,
yeah.
It looks like I was right. The reason that they dropped it is everyone decided, you know what? Everyone will be happy if we just put the books out, because then everybody makes money.
Yeah.
So it has been announced that they are doing a proper trilogy.
Oh, that's good news.
And
what's the problem?
Really, I think the problem's been subsided. The reason that there was a problem at one point was because of the fact that WotC tried to back out of the deal without really backing out of the deal. Even though Weiss and Hickman already had the first book done, the first draft for the second book nearly done. So everybody was like, just put out the books. They get to make money because you're going to be paying them. You get to make money because people are going to be buying the books. What's the problem?
Yeah, because it's like they've been known to have, by reputation, really good stories. Even though sometimes I was disappointed with that one book, but
look, everybody's got a stinker.
Yeah, I had my issues, but
mm-hmm.
Other than that, people still buy them.
Yeah,
and I would still read their next book even if it's bad. The last story that they did was bad.
Mm-hmm. So next we have the fact that Mighty Narwhal has been working on a Universal game called Mora, and they revealed the cover for it, which you can see here. And I do like this whole let's go to Hollywood kind of approach that they did with the cover. Um,
Oh boy.
and apparently they want to have a combination of TRPG and LARP suitable for any genre. That has me worried a bit, but I'm gonna wait and see. And lastly, not lastly, there's a few things, but Wrath and Glory, which I finally got my print version of. Thanks Cubicle 7 for putting up with my last-minute address change. Has put out their first expansion called the Forsaken System, which is mainly going to be taking place with more detail in the Imperium Nihilus, a world cut off from the rest of the Imperium. Hairball is saying, could someone explain LARP to me? LARP is live action role play.
Yeah. I've done that before.
And it looks like this is a proper player and GM expansion. They're putting in some new roles, including Ogrins, Ratlings, and Kroot, as well as some new archetypes. And in Cubicle 7 fashion, they have the art for them planned as well. And I do have to say, I love that cover. So, next, something that I didn't think I'd see come back is Sentinels of the Multiverse, which is a card game that everybody has tried to recommend to me in one form or another that I need to try out. And it looks like they're going to be bringing it back in a definitive edition, as kind of a capstone for its 10-year anniversary. So
That would actually be interesting.
Not a whole lot to say aside from its announcement, but and Hairball, do you really need to make the card games on motorcycles joke every time I talk about a card game?
Motorcycle.
Anyway, you know how I mentioned that a board game version of Monster Hunter World was coming? Well, we now have at least the pledge levels, even though the game isn't going to be hitting Kickstarter until April.
Oh boy.
See, then we have the core pledge, and because it's from Steamforged, of course it's going to be highly expensive.
They know people will buy it.
Like the entry. Well, to be honest, this is going to involve a lot of high-quality material, so it's not surprising that it's going to be that expensive.
Yeah, that explains what you pointed out.
But
it's all about that quality, yo.
It also looks like Richard Garfield is back with a new project after running away from Artifact when that ship sailed.
Yeah, that wasn't.
A digital platform deck building game called Rogue Book, which he described as perfect for fans of Slay the Spire, which is also apparently coming to tabletop. A roguelike deck builder that will be heading to Steam initially and then heading onto consoles later on. They will be doing a demo of it during the Steam Game Festival next month. And I'm looking at the thing, and the main thing that I'm thinking of is, okay, how are you just looking at it visually, how are you differentiating yourself from Slay the Spire? Because that's what people are going to compare you to. Now, apparently on the Steam page, they have a planned release date of June 24th.
Summertime. Yep, I knew it. They're possibly getting the kids involved in this. Summertime.
Who knows?
Kids are off.
So, Looks like Hideaki Anno is back at work on another Shin project. This being Shin Ultraman, which makes total sense coming from him because he's the guy who spearheaded the Tokusatsu Museum.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be so upset about this if a certain someone who shall not be named didn't kill my vibe with it yesterday.
I know some people didn't like it, but I didn't mind Shin Godzilla. Now, granted, the anime trilogy that came after it, I didn't care for.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny that Hideko Anno got dissed by Hayao Miyazaki one time in a documentary. You got to watch that documentary.
I have.
Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah,
Um,
and he was in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny. It was like he just dissed him badly.
They just put in a teaser, and apparently the film will premiere this year, but they haven't stated when.
Let's see. They only said it's going to be released this year,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the rumor. This year, but it's not going to say what date.
Which leads me to believe that I wouldn't expect to see it for a while, at least.
Yeah, probably Christmas. Yeah, I don't know.
On the other hand, we do have some more footage when it comes to Gundam Hathaway,
Oh, I seen the trailer.
which that is going to be heading to theaters this May.
This May?
Mhm.
Oh, of this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently the fact that they're showing it on 214 screens in Japan means it's broken the franchise record.
Yeah, because God knows that the books would probably influence people to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I hate to say the spoiler alert on this one.
Don't. If you do, I'm going to be on the next flight over to kick your ass.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say it, but then again, I'm not going to say it.
But I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on how it develops. And hey, I might use it as a movie night.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing to note, and I did talk about this a week ago, but Venus Wars is getting an official dub from Sentai Filmworks. We now have a proper clip.
Again?
The last
I thought
dub
they
was
had
in
the original one.
'93. What the hell are you talking about?
Ah, man. They're redubbing it?
Yeah, Sentai's redubbing it.
Jesus. It's been a long time. It's like, I thought they were going to keep that.
You really want to keep a dub from the early '90s?
It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I know that. I know. It was terrible, but I like the Japanese version.
I'm just glad that it means that it's getting another shot for distribution, because Discotek Media is not very well distributed.
Yeah, I bought some of their works. I was kind of disappointed with Cobra TV series.
Whereas
But they are doing Project Gecko. That's the only thing I'm hoping would be good for them.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, yeah, the reason why Sentai Filmworks is even getting it is is the fact that Discotech's license had expired.
Yeah. So they no longer have the license, which sucks, but then again, it's good riddance.
So next we have something else coming along called Sakugan. Sakugan Labyrinth Marker. Which seems to be a case of working class mecha. Given that the two main characters pilot a mecha together and mine for ore, and then things get worse for them. With the two of them becoming markers exploring a labyrinth.
Sakugan with mecha. Yeah. Yeah, I've been lately.
And
now that I'm apparently mecha's back in action.
I guess Japan is as pissed off at Giguk and all those other people saying mecha is dead as I am.
Yeah, because I do like mecha. That's the one thing I like to watch. Especially, I'll admit, I actually watched an anime called LBX, whatever it's called. And there was also another one called LBX Girls.
Speaking of which, Eureka 7 is coming back in movie form.
Oh, they did like how many Eureka 7 movies are they going to make?
This is going to be the last one.
Okay, because they made so many.
And
even in OVA.
The movie versions have been similar but different to the TV series.
Yeah, they're all in an alternate universe.
And this movie was supposed to come out back in 2019, but it's been delayed to 2021.
Yeah, due to the pandemic.
Now, as far as a release date, we don't have that. But at the very least, it's still being worked. The closest we have is early summer, as it shows, which doesn't say much. Next, and this is something that we don't have any visuals on, but apparently Powerhouse Animation is going to be working on 2 projects in the coming years. One of them is a King Kong anime called Skull Island. And the other is going to be based on Tomb Raider. Unfortunately, it's based on reboot Tomb Raider, so I have no interest.
Neither do I.
They're simply bringing it back.
Because I'm the first reboot Tomb Raider was all right. I get the feeling some of you have forgotten that Shadow of the Tomb Raider even came out last year.
I remembered, but I didn't want to play it.
But one thing that's coming out that I think we will be looking forward to is the return of Gearless Joe with a second season of Megalobox.
Oh man, I wish him the best with that show. That was actually an okay show.
Yeah, TMS is putting out a sequel to Megalobox, just simply called Nomad.
Yeah, because I remember the incident that happened with Cartoon Network, which is ridiculous. Because of people got pissed off at Megalobox because of it.
That was a case of a technical issue where they had to play the same episode twice because because the episode of SAO that was playing before that froze.
I know, and they were pissed off at, oh my god, I can't stand Megalobox! And I'm like, guys, calm down. It was just a technical glitch in the system.
Yep. It does look like the old gang is coming back. And
It was like a boxing game. It was like a boxing with machines.
Yeah. And speaking of things coming back, Ablaze Publishing is putting out a Conan comic called The Sumerian Iron Shadows in the Moon. Which is interesting that there's that these other companies are coming in with their own takes on Conan, because for the longest time I thought that they had gotten it back from Marvel. Or rather that Marvel was the one handling Conan comics, but it looks like other people are doing it as well. And let me just state for the record that I end up getting annoyed when that "what is best in life" quote gets used so much when discussing Conan, because Conan didn't say that. That's a Genghis Khan quote.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the previews show that it's definitely a Conan comic, as bloody as I'd expect a Conan comic to be.
Always the decapitation.
Although I do like this variant cover that looks like it came straight out of 80s Marvel.
I used to remember Dark Horse used to have it, and then they went over to the Marvel. Then it went.
No.
It's like every time they always transfer it over.
But it could be worse. You could be having the ratings that Batwoman season 2 has.
Oh God! Don't tell me about it, man.
But let's take a. The premiere episode was viewed by 663,000 individuals and had a 0.1 rating in the 1849 demo.
Yeah.
Which, compared to the season 1 premiere, that's a drop of 65%.
And they gave up Superwoman, Arrow, and Black Lightning for this show.
To be honest, I think those were going to go eventually, simply because of the fact that they had too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to still continue with Stargirl. That's the only show I liked.
But what I think is ultimately telling is the audience to critic ratio. So far, season 2, 86% from critics, 24% from audience.
Yeah, and the reviews I kind of thought were freaking hilarious. The part about a black woman living in a van right down the river.
What I find especially funny is that, as Critical Drinker pointed out, they seem to be putting a lot of importance on the bat suit itself, as if it's an Iron Man suit or some shit. It's not the Batman Beyond suit, so what the hell?
It's basically, it's always been like one of those. The suit's always been a symbol of what moniker.
Yeah, except this case the excuse is even thinner.
Yeah. Oh, she knows karate. She knows how to use karate. So anyone else can use karate if they actually went to
But
it. But it's kind of funny. It's like the thing that I thought was interesting was that YouTube. You remember that YouTube scandal where they had that one girl living in the van and she became very popular, and it turns out that people were subscribed to her for some weird reason. It seems like WB's using that same idea, implanting her into this whole situation to where they put her in a van, and she and she managedly just appears and just gets the Batwoman suit. Like, what is with this theme of black women living in vans? Like, seriously, can you guys be more creative than this?
I will simply say, watch Critical Drinker's take on it. Or just watch him anyways, because he's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, next we have a case of instant regret, and thankfully this particular case has resolved. But they initially were going to do this whole thing of increasing the price for Xbox Live Gold and having free-to-play games require membership. That they were going to raise the prices to $11 per month, as opposed to what it was previously. And when they got blown the fuck out, within 24 hours they walked it back.
Yeah, they got called out for it.
That's what you get, Microsoft.
Yeah, and plus it was kind of the fact that they were trying to also put in the package deal of an idea of trying to put I forgot what was that one service that they also have, the $1 a month game thing.
Game Pass.
I keep forgetting the Game Pass. That's the other thing they were going to include into that whole thing too. Plus cloud saving, cloud gaming, all that other that's included in the package, and they were trying to increase the price on it.
But next we had a bit of a legal case involving a certain side-scrolling game. So Protoculture Games was in a dispute with an artist and musician for Devil Engine, who withdrew consent for their works to be used and claimed that they weren't receiving royalties.
Jesus.
Now apparently this has been resolved, with the two of them amicably settling their dispute, supposedly, with the latter keeping the rights to Devil Engine. Now what was the official Protoculture Games Twitter account has seemingly been hijacked by one of their developers. Shortly after the announcement that the previous matter had been settled, a new tweet stated the account was now under the control of Thomas and Joseph Bailey. The pair acted as artist and musician for Devil Engine, and they claimed that Tristan Chapman, programmer and lead developer, had voluntarily given control of the account to them in June 2020, and they objected to, quote, unnecessarily inflammatory and increasingly false accusations under the guise of representing all our opinions. And it just kept going, and then they released the full thing. And to be honest, with both of these cases, stop pissing around, and just let people play the game so that everybody makes money.
Yeah. Because it seems like a lot of these, I can understand the artist wants to make really good music for a game, and they're feeling very left out when they're not being paid money. It's understandable, but they could easily just ask the company, "Hey, I'm going to release the soundtrack. Can you at least include it in the game, and I can make money off of it?" And they'll probably say, "Sure." Mm-hmm. It would have been easier.
Yeah. So next, unfortunately, Hogwarts Legacy, which I was actually curious about, has been delayed again. This time it's being delayed to sometime in 2022.
Is it that one RPG that they showed?
That's that was the Hogwarts. That was the Harry Potter game that was being developed by Avalanche.
Oh,
You know what other game needs to be Beyond Wonderworld? Enough said.
I will.
okay.
The reason I didn't put that in the docket mainly because I'm far too divorced from that situation. I have heard about it, but that's all I can say is that I've heard about it.
Ooh, look, we ain't talking about it tonight because I have a hell of a lot to say.
Yeah. So next, now this isn't going to be official, but if everything goes as planned, we may see Lego Metroid. A proposal for a Metroid-based Lego set has achieved enough support through the LEGO's Ideas schemes to be officially reviewed for production. LEGO Ideas encourages fans to build original works as a challenge, take part in contests, and submit their own ideas for LEGO sets. The last of these involves a Kickstarter-style page where an entry, either created with real LEGO or digitally, must have 10,000 clicks of support to appear before LEGO's own panel. Users can reveal additional ideas for the set as they gain more support, but no money is given. An idea must get 100 supporters in 60 days, and further milestones up to 10,000 supporters in 6 months. After review, and if the set is produced, the original designer will get 1% of total net sales, 10 complimentary sets of their particular sets, and credited in the set materials. While LEGO do not accept third-party ideas, they have already produced sets for, including previous LEGO Ideas sets. Past entries have resulted in sets based on Sesame Street, Friends, The Flintstones, Mickey Mouse, Voltron, The Beatles, Adventure Time, Doctor Who, and more. It's definitely impressive that that this mock-up was done, including not just doing Samus and doing Space Pirates and even Zero Suit Samus, but also doing Samus's ship.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I'd be down for this one.
I do sincerely hope that Nintendo doesn't act a problem when it comes to this, because if they want to do the whole thing of, oh, why would we do that when we can just make our own version of Legos? Yeah, you guys tried that. You guys tried that before, and it didn't work. Like,
It's been done so many times.
there already is a knockout version of Lego. It's called Mega Bloks. Nobody likes it. Speaking of Nintendo, we've got another one of these. Another law firm is suing over the Joy-Con drift problem.
And here we go again.
Oh God.
Lambert Avocat Inc., a law firm in Quebec, have filed an application for a class action lawsuit earlier this month, seeking compensation for all Quebec, Canada consumers who bought a Nintendo Switch, Switch Lite, Joy-Con, or Switch Pro controller. They discuss how their client bought the Switch in November 2017, only for the drifting issue to occur 11 months later. After getting it repaired by Nintendo, the defect rose again 2 months after, with the right controller, then with the second pair of Joy-Con controllers purchased, as well as the Pro controller. Calling the issue a hidden defect, Lambert proposed that the Joy-Cons violate the Consumer Protection Act, that it is unfit for purpose and not durable under normal use. They state consumers would not have bought the system or paid such a high price if the defect was known. This class action lawsuit is open to all residents of Quebec who purchased the relevant devices since August 1st, 2017. It's like,
Well,
another year, another lawsuit about drift. I get the feeling this one's going to get settled, and then another recall is going to happen, like the last 3 that we've talked about with this problem.
yeah, this is gonna be a recurrent problem. Not gonna lie, the lawsuits aren't that.
So next,
Yeah.
I'm going to add this to my my docket for of reasons why I end up having to justify limited piracy. So, because of a license issue, Man of War Corsair Warhammer Naval Battles, which has been around since its early access in 2016, and while it certainly has its flaws, it's at the very least an interesting game, is getting taken off of Steam due to a license issue. Now, details are scarce. Apparently, it revolves around a change in the licensing deal that the developers made with Games Workshop. It was not mentioned what the exact date for the game's removal, or what it means for both the Gamers Gate and GOG versions of the game. But because the thing is, I would be perfectly willing to recommend this to people who need an alternative from Sea of Thieves or are fans of Warhammer Fantasy. But because of this sort of thing, I can't. Now, it hasn't been stated when it's getting removed, just that it will be. And I do have to wonder if this is somebody trying to play a power move. Because I could easily see Games Workshop saying, if you don't do what we want, we're taking away your license. It's not it wouldn't be the first time that they've done some sort of dirty pool.
Mm-mm.
But next we have the return of a lolcow. Tomonobu Itagaki is returning to the games industry with a new studio called Itagaki Games.
Yeah.
Wow, that doesn't sound vain and pretentious at all.
Aaron, where are you?
He's at work.
Damn it.
So, according to a Facebook post on January 16th, Itagaki revealed part of a Bloomberg interview which had been omitted due to character limit. He discussed working with Microsoft and how in the past 4 years he had been teaching. He concluded and revealed that he felt like making games again, and so he established a company, Itagaki Games, to do just that. As the interview was Microsoft focused, he was asked if he would want the company to become part of MGS. He explained that if they reached out to him and could beat their rivals, he would be honored. When it comes now, I know some people would be jumping for joy at this, thinking that he'd be making quality games again. But let's not forget, the last game that he was involved with was Devil's Third, a game that was so bad Nintendo did everything they could to try and pretend that they never published it, including the fact that they didn't that they had blackballed it from reviewers.
Yeah, even I remembered it was they increased the price on it. Like
that was
ridiculous.
scalpers. That was a problem with the Wii U for a while.
Yeah, because it was kind of ridiculous too. It was like they were charging crazy amount of money just to get people to buy it.
Well, the thing is, the physical run was quashed very early, and the only other way to get it was digital.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you don't want it. Devil's Third was an absolute shit fest.
It was buggy. It was a buggy mess.
It was just a mess, period. But speaking of things that aren't messes, looks like Keith Bergen Games is putting out a little thing called Gem Wizards Tactics, a turn-based tactics game with randomly generated maps and a whole lot of hex mapping. They're shooting for a February 16th release. And
that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I do have to wonder if somebody was taking a bit of inspiration from Advance Wars. I do get that vibe a little bit from this thing.
Based on the design.
The design and I guess flow. I'd say
Okay.
either that or maybe the King's Bounty games, but nobody but me has played King's Bounty.
King's Bounty.
There's also the possibility of Heroes and Might and Magic, but the Heroes of Might and Magic community hates fun. Let's see. Next we have High Fleet coming around, which is coming to us from the returning Microprose. We talked about how Microprose had come back, and looks like this is going to be one of their upcoming projects. A dieselpunk airship combat game.
Okay. That sounds like a good concept.
Mm-hmm. And the vibe that I get from it almost reminds me a little bit of FTL. A bit of FTL and a bit of Missile Command for some reason.
Oh, really?
Well, mostly in the aesthetic sense. But this isn't a airship in the traditional Zeppelin kind of sense.
Just in a weird type of sense.
More of really strong thrusters. And it looks like we've got a bit of a negotiation set up as well. Like I said, the thing that I'm reminded of the most when I look at this is FTL. They're planning on a Q2 2021 launch for Steam, which means they probably don't have a set date yet.
All right.
Next month, Rustler, aka Grand Theft Horse, is going to be heading into early access.
They really had to do that.
It is very much inspired by pre-3 GTA games. And by that I mean like the original Grand Theft Auto or the UK version.
Yeah.
Although with the same irreverent sense of humor that GTA has had for the longest time. And what certainly helps is that they've put out a prologue version of the game for free. And yes, Mr. Yes, you heard it right. Grand Theft Horse. So
kind of like, is it like Goat Simulator or something like that?
No. They're doing a medieval the best way to describe it is Grand Theft Auto Medieval. Just top-down version of Grand Theft Auto.
Oh God.
So next we have a little something that was announced from Stormmind Games called Batora the Lost Heaven, a action RPG from the same people who did Remothered. And they do have a good pedigree from it, and what they want to combine are aspects of hack and slash and twin stick. Okay, you've got my attention.
Slap, slap, slap.
Now what I'm trying to see if they've put any previews for actual gameplay, because a cutscene is nice and all, but I need to see how things are actually going to work. It seems to be how I'd expect it to. And this is right up my kind of alley, since I love me some ARPG and everybody knows I like me some twin stick. So I'll be keeping a close eye on how this develops.
All right.
And this one I did grab on early access. Elder Lily's Quietus of the Nights, which definitely it's entering early access. It's coming to us from Binary Haze Interactive. And I'd say if somebody was a fan of Hollow Knight or similar kind of games, they'd be right at home with this. Maybe a tiny bit of Child of Light as well.
Okay.
Especially with how fairy tale-esque the approach to the game is.
Okay.
And the other thing I couldn't help but note is that all of your attacks are basically summoning people. So maybe a bit of folklore, and can of Coke to whoever remembers folklore. But it's nice to see that even when everybody's panicking over this or that current event, that there's still good games coming around. Because that's always going to be the focus. If somebody wants to talk about what offensive things somebody said this week, there's other channels for that. I'm here to talk about good shit.
Right.
And I haven't installed Elder Lilies yet, but I get the feeling this game is going to be kicking my ass. A lot.
Well, that goes without saying.
But that is going to do it for this particular episode of the Gazette. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day for this monk. For a couple of reasons. One, I have 2 interviews tomorrow. One with Elder Brain and the other with Nord Games on their respective projects. And then, after that, we have Geek Watch, where we're going to be reconstructing D&D classes. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some healthy insanity coming from that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay